Okay, so the title of my presentation today is Open Run in Agriculture. So the topics I have prepared for you are the following. So key challenges in the Philippine agriculture. So we'll just discuss in uh, in a wider context what are the key challenges in the Philippine agriculture, and why how the wireless telecom system can be applied to solve these challenges. And then we'll have a short background or preview on the 5G system, and then overview of Open Run. And then on the last part would be how Open Run can help solve the connectivity challenges that is applicable for in agriculture sector. Okay. So let's start with the discussion of key challenges in Philippine agriculture. So as we all know, agriculture plays a very important role in the Philippine economy, and yet it faces numerous challenges that also hinders its growth and sustainability. So in the list that I have that I will show to you, these are the key challenges that we have in our agriculture sector. So first is the limited access to technology. So currently, many farmers in the Philippines still rely on outdated farming techniques and lack of access to modern equipment and information. So that also limits them for their productivity and efficiency. And uh, as the previous speaker, Sir Ernel, showed to us that there are new technologies or new ways of uh, of technology that our farmers are now using. Next is the infrastructure deficiencies. This includes the poor transportation and inadequate irrigation systems that hinder the efficient distribution of agricultural products and water resources. That leads to significant post-harvest losses and vulnerability to droughts. Next is the market access and price fluctuation. So pabago-bago minsan yung ano no, yung presyo, and then walang access yung mga farmers natin sa iba't ibang market, no. So they often struggle to access larger markets due to poor infrastructure and market connections. And they face volatile prices that can make income prediction and investment planning difficult. Of course, pests and diseases. So pests and diseases can devastate crops, leading to significant losses and reduced agricultural output. The next is climate change and natural disasters. So Philippines is highly susceptible to climate change impacts and natural disasters such as typhoons, floods, droughts, which severely disrupt yung mga agriculture activities natin. And of course, socio-economic issues. Ito isa rin ano, napansin din natin ano, that the farming population is aging. Yung mga younger generations natin are often reluctant to engage in agriculture due to its minsan naisip nila low profitability and masyado mahirap yung pagiging farmer. So later on we'll see no how we can address this kind of socioeconomic issues. And lastly is the environmental degradation. So yung mga intensive farming practices and improper land use that contribute sa mga soil erosion and degradation that reduce also yung mga land fertility and productivity. Yan. So tingnan natin mamaya no kung paano natin masosolve itong mga uh, paano natin mabibigyan ng possible solutions using Open Run these key challenges in Philippine agriculture. So now let's move on to the wireless telecommunication system. So I'll give you a brief background on the wireless telecommunication system. So sa wireless telecommunication system, it's composed of three main parts. So unang-una, sabi nga namin is starting from 1, 2, 3, no? As simple as 1, 2, 3 or ABC. So one, we have the user terminals. So ito yung mga user equipment or devices that is being used by end users to connect to the radio access network or RAN. O katulad na isang wireless telecommunication system. Kasama dito yung mga terminals like smartphones, tablets, laptops, kasama yung drones na nabanggit kanina, and mobile phones, no, that are equipped for wireless connectivity. Features such as yung mga cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Kasama na rin dito yung mga sensors, no, na kinakabit natin for mga IoT devices. Yan. And then it will be connected to the radio access network or RAN. So ang RAN or radio access network is responsible for providing the wireless connectivity required for the mobile devices to connect to the core network. Yan. So connected yung dalawang yan through radio frequency o yung mga air interface na tinatawag natin. So wirelessly. And then we will connect the radio access network para magkaroon tayo ng billing, okay? Makonect natin sa internet, okay? Makuha natin yung mga data to the core network, okay? So yung core network is responsible for managing the overall operation of the network, including routing ng traffic between different networks and providing advanced services, kasama yung voice call, messaging, and data services. Yan. So ang tawag natin sa connectivity between RAN and the core network is backhaul. Okay? So ang backhaul is wala. So ang backhaul can be can use as the connectivity ng RAN and core network. So it could be a fiber optic, a microwave, or even satellite. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung may mga remote places na hindi natin malatagan ng fiber optic or microwave, nowadays we can use satellite, no? Like low Earth orbit satellite, yung mga Starlink, or yung iba naman is yung mga geostationary satellite like the Kuiper. So paano natin kino-connect yan, ano? Yung ating radio access network papunta sa mga sensors, sa drones, sa mobile phone ng mga farmers. So for example ito, no, isang malaking area. Actually, we can connect those IoT devices, mobile phones or mga drones using Wi-Fi. Meron lang tayong konting challenge kapag we connect it via Wi-Fi. And then you also experience this, no? Na kapag lumabas ka ng bahay, nawawala na yung connectivity mo, no? So, in short, maikli ang coverage ng Wi-Fi. Okay? And then, aside from that, it uses different frequency, which is frequency na wala kang control kung sino ang pwedeng gumamit. So, prone ito sa interference. Now, if you are using a radio access network, so most of the time it uses a more secure setup. And then yung frequency niyan is dedicated, for example, sa mga operator. These are licensed to operators. Kaya hindi basta-basta kahit sino pwedeng gumamit. Okay? And in terms of coverage, mas malaki yung nararating ng radio access network since mas mataas ang tower nito, mas malakas ang power, and then it also uses a high gain antennas. So, typical, nagtatayo tayo ng isang radio access network like this. And then, it will provide a mobile coverage up to, some of them are reaching up to 5 kilometers or more. No, it depends on the terrain, blocking, and the parameters ng ating antennas. So just imagine, mas malaki yung coverage niyan. So if you will apply this into agriculture sector, mas malaki yung magiging coverage mo, lalo na kapag ang target area mo would be a vast land area. Okay, so in this behavior or characteristic ng radio access network, this is the main reason why we are building different radio access network across the archipelago, no? Kasi mas malaki yung coverage niyan. Okay? So kaya nagbi-build tayo ng maraming radio access network across the Philippines, okay, to have a seamless coverage. So it requires thousands of RAN elements just to have this kind of seamless mobility and coverage. Okay, so once we have this connectivity, so now we'll go to the different parts naman, no? So typical, meron tayong tower. Okay, so nagbi-build tayo ng mga tower structure. So it is the structure that where we connect, no, yung mga antenna systems natin at mga radios at pati kable. So typical ang mga tower height niyan ranges from 20 meters to 30 meters, and then in some rural areas it goes up to 50 meters, no, yung taas niyan. And then we put panel antennas, yung mga white or grayish white or minsan nangingitim na sa dumi. Tawag natin dyan is mga panel antennas. So there are different sizes of antennas. It depends on the frequency range. So typical kapag mas malaki yung antenna, mas mahaba, it uses a low frequency band. So low band and then meron tayong high band. So if you compare it sa radio station, para tong AM at ito naman is FM. No? Something like that. And then dito natin kinakabit yung tinatawag nating remote radio unit or RRU, which produces yung electromagnetic wave. No? So dito nang gagaling yung ating signal. No? So dito nang gagaling electromagnetic wave and then pinoproduce niyan and then popropagate, no, ng mga antennas natin. And then ang connectivity niyan, ang remote radio unit then is frequency specific, meaning we have radios for high band and radios for low band. And then connected yan dalawang yan, antenna to radio unit using feeder cable, okay? Or coaxial cable, okay? Or jumper cables. Yan. And then the radio unit is connected via Common Public Radio Interface or CPRI. So this is a type of fiber optic going to the baseband unit. So the baseband unit acts like a CPU or the central processing unit of your cell site. Okay, so this is where you upgrade from 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. And then if you want to increase the capacity, you want to increase the licenses, this is where you put those upgrades. And in a typical baseband scenario, the baseband is enclosed in an outdoor cabinet or indoor cabinet, which contains the transmission, the battery, the ventilation, and the power system. Okay. So now this is the transmission type. No? So in this example, you will see a microwave antenna going to the core network. So typical when you look at a cell site, you will evidently see antennas, microwave antennas, and remote radio unit. Basebands are frequently seen in the cell site premises because nasa ibaba yan, kasama nitong outdoor cabinet. Okay? So using this cell site, you can connect your mobile phones, and as I mentioned, pati yung mga IoT device natin, including drones and other user terminals. Okay? So this is a typical scenario of a cellular network, and this is what we also use right now. So what we call it the traditional network or the distributed radio access network, because the baseband unit and the remote radio unit are located in the cell site premises. So meaning when you build the cell site, for example, an operator will build the cell site, they need to put a dedicated remote radio unit and a dedicated baseband unit on site. Okay, that's why it's called distributed antenna system. And currently, when an operator deploy a cellular network like this, most of the equipment, especially the remote radio unit, the CPRI, and the baseband unit, including the outdoor cabinet, is coming from a single vendor. Okay, so they are only supplied by one vendor only. Okay. Sometimes they use a different type of antennas coming from different manufacturer, but it's okay. No? But if it's a massive MIMO, it should come to the same vendor. So you can see that one cell site is monopolized by one vendor only. No? So you cannot see a lot of vendors on that one. So that's where Open RAN will come in. Later on, we'll talk about that. Of course, evolution of mobile communication. So let's just have a quick review. of the mobile communications. So it all started from 1G, but in some other books or references, you will see 0G, but we'll not focus on that one. 1G is the foundation of mobile technology. So it started in 1980. Nagsimula sa US, sa Great Britain, and other parts of the world like Japan. So nandiyan si AMPS, si Advanced Mobile Phone System, si Total Access Communication System, at si Nordic Mobile Telephony. And then dumating yung 2G or GSM, as mentioned by Sir Arnel, yung Automon is working in GSM, no? And some devices as well are still working in GSM aside from your phone. If you go to the malls or supermarket, meron silang mga tinatawag na POS or point of sale. So this is where you swipe your card to pay for the groceries. So most of them or some of them are still using GSM, the GPRS mode of data, no? Or sometimes it's edge already. But ngayon nakakita na ako ng mga LTE capable na point of sales, no, na mga equipment. Okay? So GSM brought us the voice and SMS and some data capability like GPRS at edge. And then in year 2000, the foundation of mobile broadband came in the image of 3G or UMTS. When you say foundation of mobile broadband, this is where we experience transmitting and receiving data in Mbps, okay, megabits per second. No? So because in the 2G, it's only 56, 385 kbps, no? But in 3G, this is where we started to get 1 Mbps, 2 Mbps, which we got from the previous DSL, no, sa bahay natin. But this time, it's mobile. We can use a high-speed internet that time. But since the application becomes huge and the amount of data that we want to get from the network and we want to transmit to the network became big, 3G capability was not enough. That's why 4G was introduced. So this is where there is an enhancement in the mobile broadband. So from 1 to 2 Mbps, we upgraded from 100 Mbps to 150 Mbps. That's really, I don't know, a great leap, no, a big leap from 3G to 4G. So these were also we can transmit 75 Mbps uplink. So until now, we are still enjoying the matured network of LTE. You can stream, no, you can watch videos, you can do Facebook Live with high quality videos, no. So because of the transmission capability ng 4G. And now we go to the 5G. Ito yung tinatawag nating NR also. So it was introduced way back 2020, 4 years ago. So it's a future of mobile communication. So we will focus. We will have some short discussion on this 5G, but 5G will have a diverse opportunities that will be introduced, no. So kasama dito yung tatlong use cases like EMBB, MMTC, and URLLC. So currently, when you employ Open RAN in this technology, if you talk about ORAN Alliance, they can employ Open RAN in 4G and 5G. But there's another organization like the Telecom Info Project, they can still operate Open RAN in 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. Okay. Okay, so now let's focus, let's zoom in sa 5G. No? So what is 5G? No? So 5G is a fifth generation of mobile communications that uses a radio access called new radio or NR. So whenever you hear the word NR, we are talking about 5G. And this is connected to a 5G core network called 5GCN na meron tatlong distinctive use cases which are enhanced mobile broadband, massive machine type communications, and ultra reliable and low latency communications. Okay? Okay. So, when we talk about the three distinctive classes of use cases, has three, no? So EMBB means high data rates and high traffic volume. So in the initial deployment of 5G here in the Philippines, most operators got up to 1,000 Mbps or 1 gigabit per second. So ganun kabilis yung enhanced mobile broadband. So it's a bigger leap, no? From 150 Mbps going to 1,000 Mbps. It's malaki yun. And then we also have the MMTC, the massive number of devices, low cost, low energy consumption. MMTC is also known as massive IoT. So it can connect numerous amount or huge amount of devices, up to 1 million devices per square kilometer. So that's a lot, no? So if you will be putting a lot of sensors in the farm, so you can essentially connect it in a 5G network because the capacity of the 5G network is huge. And then we also have the URLLC. So these applications are typically used for urgent and critical tasks, no? Like remote surgery and autonomous vehicle. So it requires very low latency, up to 1 millisecond, and very high reliability and availability, up to 99.999969. No? Okay. So this is a typical architecture of a 5G system, which we call the standalone deployment. Okay. So you have the core network, the 5G NR, and then you have the UE or some IoT devices or terminals. So what are the possible use cases, no, ng 5G sa Pilipinas? So these are the different 5G use cases. Some of them are intersecting with each other. Okay, so from eMBB, URLLC, and massive machine type communications. Now, if we look at the different use case in the case of the Philippines, yeah, no, kapag dumating ang 5G, if we deploy it into different parts of the islands or areas, so we can enjoy the enhanced mobile broadband, the smart tourism, disaster response management, smart agriculture, we will focus on here, environmental monitoring, healthcare, education, smart grids, public safety, digital government, maritime connectivity, and smart transportation. Makikita nyo, no, mapapagana natin lahat yung mga use case na yan once there is connectivity. There's a presence of connectivity. Actually, marami namang applications na ginagawa na tayo. One of the challenges is how to connect it going to the server or to the application server, no, or to the core network. So what we need right now, especially in the Philippines, is yung connectivity. Yun ang kulang sa atin. Application side, marami tayong application side talaga. Pero the connectivity, some of our locations here in the Philippines are still lacking. Okay? Now let's focus our attention in this smart farming, no? So, or smart agriculture. Okay? So for smart farming, this is where you need coverage. Okay? We can also have autonomous vehicle, drones, as shown in the early discussions, remote monitoring, e-health, and also location. No, so in this smart farming, we just need to have this network requirements. No, ano ba yung mga, for example, extreme long range coverage. Malaki ba yung lugar na cover natin? For example, dun sa mga areas that there are animals na pinapalaki like tupa, baka, kalabaw, and then you will put an IoT or a GPS system, GPS device sa yung mga alagang hayop, no. So if you want to monitor those hayops, those animals, kahit ano hayop or animal parehas, no. You can still monitor them, no. Hindi naiiwan, no? Hindi naiiwan nung pastol yung isang yung 99 na tupa. So you just have to send a drone to find the location of that one sheep that is missing. Yeah, so of course yung indoor transmission, especially sa mga greenhouse buildings natin, okay? Availability, yung yung time na magda-down yung site, okay? So, kinakailangan ba laging always on yan? Data speed, okay? So, it depends on the type of transmission that we want or data that we want to get. There are farms right now that they want to have a 24-hour CCTV monitoring, no? So, if you are transmitting videos, that will require big data, no? Kasi malaki yun. Malaki yung video na yan. Low latency, okay? Especially, for example, if you want to have emergency response or emergency uh, na pagbukas ng mga valve, no? To avoid yung flooding sa area. Yan, so kinakailangan yung mga low latency na yan. Indoor and outdoor position accuracy um, sa mga warehouse, no? Sa mga imbakan ng mga ano. Pwede rin niyang gamitin. Big data and then battery life ng mga IoT natin. So for 5G capable devices, as long as 10 years, no, yung battery life ng mga yan. And then IoT networks, okay? And then reliable and of course yung security. Yes. So yung security niyan is still of course using the security na ginagamit ng 3GPP sa LTE at sa 5G network. Okay? So dun sa mga agriculture yan, so yung mga sensors na binabaon sa lupa to monitor yung nabanggit kanina ni Sir Ernel, no? So nitrogen, moisture, okay? And then if you have a complete system already working in your farm, for example, natutuyo yung lupa, it can trigger, no? It can trigger yung actuator ng valve doon para magbukas yung irrigation automatically, no? So some of the applications na nakita natin sa Pilipinas, still some of them are half automated. Half automated bang term doon? So once it will trigger that, medyo tuyo na yung lupa, no? So somebody would open the valve nung irrigation system and then saka siya magbubukas. But in some areas naman, fully automated na siya. So once na naka-monitor ng um, um, konting panunuyo ng tubig, so automatically no magbubukas yung valve depende sa amount of drought na nararanasan ng area. Okay? So ito yung mga sa agriculture and then sa animal tracking nabanggit ko na rin kanina. So yeah, so some of the applications especially sa US or sa ibang bansa, they are putting GPS devices no sa mga animals nila just to track it down. Okay? So ganun yung ganun yung principle natin sa wireless connectivity. So saan ba pasok ang Open RAN? So ang Open RAN kasi it's not a new technology actually. It's a new philosophy or a new movement of implementing a wireless telecommunication system. Bakit natin sinabi yun, no? Because currently right now, yung nabanggit nating mga technology like 2G, 3G, 4G, or 5G, you can also implement it using Open RAN. Okay? That's why it's called a new movement of implementing. Because if you implement 5G using the traditional network, for example, the equipment coming from Ericsson, Nokia, okay? So you can also get that same benefit if you use Open RAN. So what's the main difference, no? Yung equipment at yung mga software na lang, no? Software functionalities and other added functionality na ginawa to support yung mga automation, cloudification, virtualization na gusto natin mangyari sa network natin. So, ganito yung pagkakaiba, no, ng Open RAN at ng traditional RAN. So, if you look at the traditional RAN, nandyan yung antennas, yung RRH, yung ating baseband unit, no? So, ito yung kanina binanggit natin isa-isa. If you look at the structure ng isang Open RAN system, if you look at them, no, na parang hardware to hardware lang, makita mo parang parehas sila. Okay, parang parehas sila. But if you look deeper dun sa mechanism no, na ginagamit or system ng Open RAN, doon mo makikita yung malaking pagkakaiba. Unang-una is the RRU. No? So the RRU or the radio unit are now utilizing general purpose hardware. So meaning you can buy any general purpose hardware no, na available sa market. And then, yung front hole, yung fiber optic na ito, which is ginagamit din natin dito sa RAN, is now open. It's not proprietary. So, meaning open, yung protocol na ginagamit nung fiber, nung ating kable from the remote radio unit going to the distributed unit can now acts as a open interface. Makakapag-usap na sila. Pero kasi ngayon, if you have vendor A here, and then you have vendor B here, and then you will connect it with the existing CPRI, hindi sila mag-uusap. It will not work. But in Open RAN, even though meron kang ibang vendor ng RU, like for example, Fujitsu, Mavenir, Parallel Wireless, it can be connected to a Mavenir baseband unit or distributed unit. So, ganun ka flexible yung Open RAN. Ano? So, you're being freed no sa lock-in no sa lock-in sa isang vendor. And then you can see yung BBU functionality is biniyak yan sa dalawa no, yung distributed unit at centralized unit. So itong aggregation na to, yung separation ng DU at CU, actually it's not this was started sa sa Open RAN. It started sa 5G implementation. So nung in-implement yung 5G, part ng specification na okay, so since we have 3 use cases, meron tayong EMBB, meron tayong MMTC, meron tayong URLLC. So marami yung ating use cases, diverse yung use cases natin. So it requires different architecture as well. So might as well magawin nating flexible yung architecture natin. So one way to make the architecture flexible to support the corresponding use case is to separate the functionality ng BBU. Okay? So we separate the BBU into two. So dito nangyari sa 5G. And then when we try to implement 5G technology using Open RAN, so we also incorporate this DU and CU. Okay? Kasi nga ang application niya is for 5G. And then you will see here na meron tayong dinagdag na panibagong component which is the RIC, the RAN Intelligent Controller. So the RAN Intelligent Controller is powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning or slash machine learning. So anong ano niyan? Ano ang kagandahan niyan? In the traditional network, for example, meron akong binagong parameter. Binago ko for example yung parameter ng power. Okay? Binago ko yung power. So after that, makikita ko na kung titignan ko sa KPI yan, titignan ko sa monitoring system kung ano ba yung mga nagbagong mga performance. And then kung hindi ako masaya sa performance, babaguhin ko ulit manually yung parameter. Okay? But here in Open RAN, it will get more data from, for example, meron kang mga existing data na sa network mo. It will use the existing data, change the parameter, and then if it doesn't meet yung threshold na sinet mo for that kind of output na gusto mo makuha, it will tweak it on its own. Okay? Like an AI. Yan. As usually do. So, ganun ka-powerful no itong RAN Intelligent Controller na to. And hindi lang yun ang kaya niya gawin. Ano? It can also control yung power consumption ng cell site. For example, kapag kagabi naman at hindi masyadong malakas ang consumption ng data ng mga subscribers, tulog sila sa gabi, so might as well patayin natin yung ibang resources dito sa remote radio unit in which makakatipid ng kuryente. Okay? For example, nasa isang meeting room tayo, no? Kapag may nagmi-meeting, saka natin bubuksan yung aircon. And then kapag wala ng tao, you need to manually turn off yung aircon. Pero if you're using Open RAN, in my analogy, so kapag nakitang wala ng tao sa area, sa office, automatic mamamatay, no? Yung aircon. So ganun ka efficient, no, ang Open RAN, no. Ang tawag natin sa feature na yan is power saving feature. Okay. So isa rin yan sa part ng RAN Intelligent Controller. Isa pang maganda rito is si RAN Intelligent Controller can also allocate or prioritize yung mga resources. Ano yung sabihin nun? So sa analogy natin, for example, yung isang kalsada, no? Currently what's happening right now kapag ka traffic, no? Siksikan yung mga sasakyan sa kalsada and then biglang merong ambulansya, no, na paparating. So basically ang magiging initial response is tumabi, no, to give way to the ambulansya, no, para makatawid. So sa open run ginagawa niya 'yon, no. So kapag for example, merong emergency nangyari sa isang area, nagkasunog for example, wag naman sana mangyari, kasunog. So kapag nandiyan na yung sunog, typical, hindi naman typical, no. So most of the Filipinos what they do is that they take videos, no? Sometimes they upload it sa kanilang Facebook page or sa Facebook profile, no? Para makakuha ng ng views, no? Which is sayang yung resource ng network, 'di ba? Instead na nagagamit sana ng mga firemen or mga police to communicate with each other for the rescue response, no? Ang ginagawa ng OpenRun is they can prioritize, they can check which are the SIM cards nung mga rescuers, mga policemen, and then they give the priority, no, yung resource prioritization dun sa mga importanteng tao talaga na dapat gumamit nung system during that time, no. Hindi magamit, hindi mapunta dun sa mga vloggers. Ayan. So ganun yung gamit ng ng Open Run, ano. So that's one of the cases, no, ng Run Intelligent Controller. So overall, ang benefits of Open Run is, yeah, you will have diverse vendor ecosystem. So you can choose different vendors from the likes of Mavenir, Fujitsu, okay, Parallel Wireless, okay, Altiostar. So there are new players, no, sa ecosystem. And then there are new innovation models or introduction. So you you don't need to wait, no, for the production ng mga innovation ng existing vendor mo, but the market is really open for everybody. Kung sino yung mayroong bagong innovation, you can readily um, try the innovation and then test it sa yung network kung gagana or if can meet your requirements immediately. Because yung ating system is open na, so hindi ka na nakalock sa isang vendor lang. Okay, ganun ang mangyayari dyan. And in the long run, we are looking at lowering the total cost of ownership. Currently, may mga studies na makikita kayo na medyo mataas yung Open Run, which is normal because yung production ng mga equipment, ng mga chipsets are taking more cost kasi nga konti pa lang yung pinoproduce. But if we deploy Open Run in a massive scale, so magiging mas mababa yung production cost niyan and eventually yung total cost of ownership in terms of capex will go down. And then in terms of operational expenses, dahil powered siya ng artificial intelligence, so mas magiging mas magaan yung operational cost natin. Okay? Although meron mga challenges na hinahain sa harap ng Open Run like network performance, okay, fault management, network automation, and then yung mga Open Run ecosystem, and then yung kinakailangan talaga natin yung mga new team profiles like new experiences or new expertise. Dahil in the world of Open Run, this is where telecommunication and IT meet, no? So doon sila nag-intersect. Kaya ang kagandahan diyan, although it's a challenge, ang kagandahan diyan is it gives us new opportunities to um get more skills so that we can participate in the ecosystem ng Open Run. So if you're an IT, so you just have to learn some telecom basics, no? And if you're a telecom engineer, you just need to learn some IT skills, no? Para makapasok ka dyan sa ecosystem ng Open Run. Okay, so basically ayun yung Open Run. Ano? Now, if you look at the sample ng isang Open Run system, yan, ganito yung itsura niya, no? Kaya sabi ko sa inyo parang halos pareha siya. So this is coming from Mavenir. So when we visited yung um, office ng Mavenir, so they have this showroom which they showcase yung kanilang mga antenna system, okay? Yung kanilang radio, okay? Ito yung antenna system nila. Yan, ito naman yung mga remote radio units. So which is almost identical or same, no? Kapag tinignan mo yung mga existing radio unit ngayon. And in terms of the BBU, the CU and the DU are here, pati yung core network. Yeah, so it's a typical commercial off-the-shelf server, yung mga Dell na servers na ginagamit natin sa mga server rooms natin o mga switch natin. Okay. Ayan, so ito yung overall na natin, yung Dell. Ito yung overall architecture ng Open RAN system. Yan, so andito yung RAN Intelligent Controller. Okay, so probably in the next sessions, we'll have a further deep dive sa discussion ng RAN Intelligent Controller. But this is the translation ng architecture into ano yung makikita mo sa hardware. Okay? Now, if you look at the global landscape, marami ng deployment and trials na ginagawa sa Open RAN. Ang pinakasikat na commercial deployment are located sa Japan, which is Rakuten in Japan. If you're using Viber, so that's one of their products. So Rakuten has become one of the major operator in Japan. So they have an Open RAN system, okay, working in 4G and 5G. And another one is located sa US, sa Colorado, si Dish Wireless. So nagsimula siya as a satellite provider or cable TV provider. And then nung nakakuha siya ng license to operate, to become an operator, so they immediately deploy for an Open RAN system. So ang kanilang Open RAN is 5G. Okay, so when they deploy their 5G network, naka-Open RAN agad. So considered sila as greenfield. Okay. Ayan. So, yun pala, no? So pwede pala tayo mag-deploy pa rin ng 5G or LTE. So meron pala tayong dalawang choices, no? So we can deploy LTE or 5G technology using the traditional RAN, or we can deploy 4G or LTE using Open RAN. So meron pala tayo, no? So yung technology will be the same, but the mode of implementation could be different because kasi nga yung isa gumamit ka ng Open RAN, yung isa naman gumamit ka ng closed RAN, no? Parang telepono, no? Parang telepono. If you're using Android and then suddenly you use Apple, same thing, no? Makakatawag ka pa rin. But in the long run, you will see the difference ng dalawa, no? So in terms of performance, in terms of the output that you want, so in terms of the objective na gusto makuha, no? So it will boils down sa sa pinaka long-term objective ng company or ng operator, kung bakit siya pupunta ng Open RAN and bakit siya mag-stay sa closed RAN like the traditional RAN. Okay? So we can use, no? So what we are promoting sa Open RAN, sa Asia Open RAN Academy is to use the Open RAN system, no? Kasi nga eventually it will have a lower total cost of ownership. So meaning kapag mas mababa na yung ating deployment cost ng isang radio access network, we can build, no, different cell sites sa different areas, especially sa mga geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas sa Pilipinas. Okay, so kasi nga kung mahal pa ang pagtatayo ng isang cell site, that could be a barrier, no, in deploying a cell site in a use case or in an area where you want to have connectivity, especially sa mga agriculture sectors. So ito yung mga typical, no, na mga typical example, no, ng isang deployment type, no, ng isang deployment. So I just added those visualization no nung Open Run kasi nung 5G and 4G application sa ating sa ating agriculture sector no. So those are the additional visualizations kung ano yung mga pwede nating i-improve no sa agriculture sector natin in terms of IoT and connectivity. As you can see no, it's working hand in hand between different technologies. Kasi yung IoT, yung Internet of Things, yung mga drone technology, okay, yung mga sensors natin could work perfectly kung meron tayong perfect or magandang connectivity like LTE and 5G. And the connectivity can be deployed using Open RAN. Yan. So nakita natin kanina yung mga challenges no ng key challenges sa yung mga limited access technology, infrastructure deficiencies, market access, pest and disease, climate change, socio-economic and then environmental no. So once we deployed a radio access network using Open RAN in that area, okay? So yung ating challenge sa um, limited access technology. So yung Open RAN can enhance yung connectivity no, in rural areas. So it will enable yung mga farmers to use the advanced agricultural technologies katulad ng mga IoT sensors, drones, and automated machineries na pwede mag-improve sa connectivity na magkaka-access yung mga farmers natin to have real-time data and agricultural knowledge through the mobile applications na nabanggit kanina and online platforms that enhance decision making and farming practices no. And then next is yung reduced cost of deployment no. Kasi nga kanina yung infrastructure deficiencies no. So sabi ko nga kanina, yung Open RAN could reduce the cost of deploying and maintaining network infrastructure by using yung mga equipment like yung mga commercial off-the-shelf servers and hardware that will foster competition among vendors. No? So mas maraming players, mas gaganda, no? Mas magiging healthy yung ating economy in terms of the Open RAN deployment. And then of course, access to digital marketplaces. Yan. So kapag meron kang internet connection no, sa area, yan. So meron kang internet connection sa area, uh, you will have access to digital marketplaces. So you can be allowed to sell your products directly to consumers or larger markets, achieving better prices and reducing reliance sa mga intermediaries no, yung mga gumigit na lang, nakiki commission lang. Ayan, so yung real-time market data that can help yung mga farmers natin to make more informed decisions about ano yung kailangan nila itanim, ano yung when to sell, okay? And then improving their market positioning and profitability. And in terms of the pest naman, yung pest and disease natin, yung mga connected devices natin and sensors that will be enabled or be connected by Open RAN can monitor yung mga crops and detect signs of pests in infestations early on, no? So maano sila no, it can allow them to have immediate intervention and minimizing crop losses. So kasama 'yan sa mga sa tinatawag na precision agriculture, no? Kasama paggamit ng data from sensors, no? Optimizing the use yung mga pesticides and fertilizers and then reduce yung mga overall usage ng environmental impact while managing yung mga pests and diseases. Of course, yung natin sa mga natural disasters. So, if we have connectivity, lalo na sa mga farms, so farmers will have real-time weather data. Okay? So, it will help them to prepare for the natural disaster and mitigate no yung mga adverse effect no ng mga weather conditions na yan. And then yung kanina yung natin socio-economic issues no na may mga younger generations that are often reluctant to engage sa mga agricultural activities na yan due to ang sabi ng iba is perceived low profitability and masyado mahirap no hard work. So once we upgrade yung ating farming industry dito sa Pilipinas, and then you can also enhance yung connectivity, and they can also have access to modern technologies. It will make the agriculture, ang tawag is more appealing, more appealing, more astig, more astig to younger generations. Yan, addressing the issue of an aging farmer population. Yan. And helping farmers continuously improve their skills and adapt yung mga new farming practices. Just imagine, pupunta ka sa farm. Kaya kasi may mga kabataan ngayon na, punta ka sa farm na, andun yung kalabaw, tapos pinagkatawanan yung kalabaw. Pero pupunta ka sa farm namin, andun yung drone ko nagdidilig yung drone. Oh, astig. Drone yung nagdidilig. No? Ayan. So, yun yung yun yung isa sa mga So, it could be an appealing to younger generations kapag upgraded, or technological savvy yung ating mga farmers din. And then, of course, optimize the use of resources. Yan. So, it can enable yung mga implementation ng mga precision agriculture, that can also optimize yung use of resources such as yung mga water. So magdidilig lang kapag tuyot na yung or kailangan na talagang katubigan. Deploy fertilizers or pesticides as needed, and then promoting yung mga sustainable farming practices. So yung mga IoT sensors and data analytics that can monitor yung soil health, water usage, and environmental parameters. So ito yung makakatulong sa mga farmers natin to adopt a more sustainable land management practices. Okay? So, yep. So yung deployment ng Open Run technology offers new solutions to many of the challenges na kinakaharap natin sa agricultural sectors sa Pilipinas. And by enhancing yung connectivity, will improve yung access to technology and information. And it also support yung efficient and resilient agricultural practices natin. And it can also boost the productivity and sustainability ng Philippine agriculture natin. So, we hope na magkaroon tayo ng isang actual use case ng Open Run dito sa Pilipinas. I believe sa Indonesia meron na silang application na to. So if you know somebody or you are a student that would like that have interest in deploying a use case in Open Run, so just let us know together with your university or organization, so that we can make a use case of Open Run, and then we can show it sa mga gusto mag-invest or gusto nating ma-influence sa mga operators to deploy Open Run system in agriculture connectivity. Yan.